This is an attempt at a little guide on how to organise students' learning in order to support assessment for learning and to maximise student progress as a result. So I'm going to go through a potential way on how you might present students' work, ask them to present it, and track progress in how work is presented and recorded. So the first thing, and an absolutely crucial component, is that target levels are displayed somewhere of prominence on the exercise book. So for the purposes of this, I've used the Year 7 Accelerate project. I've got name, form, and then the different components of that project and the level that they achieved at the end of Key Stage 2, and then their target for that project, which represents one full level's progress through the course of the year. So that's the key information. As students progress and increase their current level, that could easily be struck off and updated to show how they're progressing towards this target level. Okay, so fundamental then to organising students' learning is some form of curriculum map at the start of each project or your scheme of work. So what we have here is a week-by-week breakdown of content and the skills that are to be developed as part of the 5 weeks that this project will last for. Now, students could easily track their completion or their progress through this project. They could date which week they've completed each part. They could even tick things off as they're covered in the lessons. Okay, but that gives students the bigger picture on where individual lessons fit in the wider scheme of things. The next thing that really is fundamental is to identify with students and have them present and understand the key assessment focuses of that project. So for the purposes of this project, the key assessment focuses are Reading Assessment 3 and Reading Assessment Focus 2, which are taken directly from the APP reading grids for English. So what we then have is a really nice presentation of how these levels progress and get gradually more difficult. And these can be consistently referred back to through the weeks that the project lasts for, and can be revisited so that students get a really good understanding of the criteria for each level descriptor. So we've got the bigger picture. Students are aware of their targets, what's being expected of them in terms of their achievements, and now we need to show that in the start and how their work is actually presented. So what we have here is a general idea on the kind of information one would need in order to target written feedback and comment, and also provide students with a context for that exercise. So obviously we have the date. Please note how I've asked the students to write the date starting in the left hand side, so we don't get students starting to try and write it in the top right hand column and getting all squashed and presenting it badly. If they simply start in the left hand side, whether their handwriting is big or small, it's nice and neat right across the top. For the purposes of this presentation, and for any course that has an APP grid or that has a well-written specification, so this applies for GCSE specifications as well, directly take something from the assessment focuses and form your WALT or your learning objective from that. So for the purposes of this demonstration, it's Reading Assessment Focus 2, and I've just taken one strand from that, and it is to describe events from text and use quotation. The next piece of information that is absolutely crucial for students to know where they are in their learning is their current level, 4A, and today's target level, which for the purposes of this demonstration is a 4B. And then I've got a good old-fashioned content title if you feel that's not essential, but if you feel that students like to have some kind of reference to content on there. So our exercise today is going to be focusing on Roman entertainment, but this is the skill we're developing, and this is the level boundary we're hoping to cross through the course of today. So instantly, really, one of the opening exercises should be for students to look at their target level, skip back to the relevant descriptor. So 5, I'm looking for 5B. So I'm going to try and demonstrate these 2 skills in my work today, and I will cross-reference back to these in order to self-assess whether I've met them or not. So what we have there also is that students can and should expect then that all their feedback for this piece of work will focus on whether or not they have met those criteria, and it should not really deviate from it, and so the feedback is really targeted. Okay, now once that piece of work is actually being completed, students can track their wider progress over a longer period of time on some kind of assessment grid. Now again, for the purposes of this demonstration, I've used an APP grid. And what you can see at the bottom here, well, you can see along the top is the reading assessment focuses, all 8 of them. And the students have highlighted their progress in each of them. So you can see here the cultural and historical context of text is a strong point for this student. We've got weaker areas, but the one that we were focusing on for today's lesson was reading assessment 2, assessment focus 2, understanding and describing events and retrieving information. So this student, on completion of this exercise, having had their feedback and their work marked, hopefully, if they meet that standard, can actually then go on to highlight the strands or strand of that criteria that they've met. And they could track it even further by maybe dating when that was met. And so you multiply that over a broader term, or over a project or a half term, and they can evidence and help you to evidence where criteria have been met and when they've achieved that.